Now we're going to have an equation, and the equation is going to be in two variables, meaning in terms of x and y. So they give us this equation right here, y equals negative x plus 2. And what they want us to do is they want us to graph it by plotting points. So what we do is we make what's called a table of values. Now, I've seen different tables written differently, but I usually do mine like this, like a T. And the X is on the left and the Y is on the right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick some numbers for X, and then I'll figure out what Y is, because I have the equation Y equals the opposite of X plus 2. Now, this is going to make a linear equation, by the way. So when I do mine, I usually like to do 3 points. I think the book used 5, but I usually like to pick a negative number. I'll pick like -2, and I usually pick 0, and I'll pick 3. Now, I'm just randomly picking some numbers. So if you were doing this problem, you might pick 3 different numbers. I recommend that you pick numbers, x values, that are going to fit on your piece of graph paper. So I don't want to pick anything bigger than 5 or less than -5. And then I don't know what's going to happen for the y values, but I don't want them to be too big or too small. They won't fit on my graph paper. Okay, so I'm going to take the value -2 and I'm going to plug it in the equation. And so it looks like that. I get y equals the opposite of -2 plus 2, or y equals 2 plus 2, which is 4. So what that means is there's a point -2, 4 that works for that equation, and therefore it's part of the graph. So now I want to graph that ordered pair, -2, 4. You're right there. Okay? Then I'm going to do the next x value. So now I'm going to plug in 0. Y equals the opposite of 0 plus 2. Well, that's just going to be 2. And so now I have another ordered pair, 0, 2, that makes that equation true. 0, 2, right there. So 0, we don't move horizontally. We're just going to up 2. It's right there on the y-axis. And then I have another point, another x value I'm picking, 3. I'm going to put that in the equation and see what I get. I get -3 plus 2, which is -1. And so my last ordered pair that I'm going to graph is 3, -1. Now I told you that this was a linear equation. That's why I picked 3 points. I have to make sure that they all line up. If they don't, then I've done something wrong. Now you could say, well, I didn't know it was a linear equation. We're going to talk about different types of equations and how you know if they're linear. But for right now, when they're talking about it being in 2 variables in this section, they're linear. Okay. And then what we do is we draw a line connecting the dots as best we can. Put arrows on the ends of that line. Please do that because it continues. And now, how many ordered pairs are there on that line? Well, there's an infinite number of ordered pairs. There's a point there, and there's a point there, and there's a point there, and they're all along here. So in theory, we could find the coordinates for any point, that could be like 1.3, 0.7 or something, and it should work in the equation. Now, it's really hard to read those points off the graph, and my line might be crooked or something, so it might not work exactly. But the idea is this is a picture of that equation, okay? So that line represents all the ordered pairs that make that equation true. All the combinations of x and y that work for that equation right there.